Hey, looks like we are live and Facebook is gathering the audiences for us to get started. For those of you that are just now tuning in, I want to thank you. Some of you are coming in from the email list, some of you are coming in from the fan page, some of you are coming in from Twitter. It really doesn't matter where you came in or how you found out about us. I want you to know that I really do appreciate your time. And I also want to applaud you for your dedication to your self-improvement. And as you're popping in and as you're watching this, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to drop down the comments below down the video for those of you that are watching this live and even the recording. And I want you to tell me where you're from and how you're connected with Stop Doing Nothing. Is it via the email list? Is it via Twitter? Is it via the fan page? But again, just tell me how you, or via the website. And by the way, also though, some of you are going to be listening to this later on YouTube and also on iTunes. So there are various ways that people are coming in and following me and the things I'm talking about on Stop Doing Nothing. And so I'm just kind of curious how you guys are finding out about that. There are a couple of things we're going to cover today, and I can't imagine it's taking more than about 10 or 15 minutes. First of all, one of the first things we're going to cover is some things that came in via the email list. I've got an email list, a newsletter, and some Q&A and stuff, and I do that we send out a couple of times a week. And in there, I asked people to tell me what was one big win you had for 2016 and one of the challenges you have coming up for the rest of 2016 and 2017. And I got several good responses back, got them right here on paper, and so we're going to cover those. And then I'm going to cover, what we need to do going forward, looking forward to 2017, and how that's going to basically affect the planning process. So if you're the kind of person who wants to basically get a little bit of a head start on life, to get a little bit better about forecasting your future, this is a really important video for you to watch. And again, I applaud you for wanting to improve yourself like this. I may eventually come out with a course on basically how to plan and execute your year. I don't have one yet, but there may be one shortly. But at the end of every year, you always see these courses. And I think the reason you see courses like this is because people just are tired, I think, of just getting to January and starting the year planning in January. It's December 1st. Yeah, I think today's still December 1st. This is the day and time you need to start planning for 2017. Not just January 2017. January, February, March, April, May, all the way through the rest of 2017. Your planning needs to start now. And towards the latter half of this video, we're going to cover how I do that and some recommended tools and techniques I recommend that you use. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cover some questions from the email list. The right here I asked for people for a bunch of questions. I picked out 5 of the best ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I asked people, what's your challenge upcoming? I asked people, what was a big thing, a big win you had in 2016? And what are some of your challenges coming up for the rest of the year? And just challenges in life in general, how can I help you? So we're going to cover these. And if you happen to be watching live and I cover your question, please leave me a comment right down there also. And also I'll take your live questions right down there because we are doing this via Facebook Live. The first one comes from Faiza, and she replied back to me via email, Faiza, F-A-I-Z-A. And she says, I am now struggling to gain my self-confidence and meet the goals where I plan to do things according to and not procrastinate. Okay, I'm going to cover this briefly, but Faiza, I'm also going to cover this a little bit later in the video. The first one, how to gain my self-confidence. I think a lot of self-confidence issues come from the ability of not trusting that what you are doing is the right thing and the fear of making mistakes. Whenever I have self-confidence issues, it comes from me just being fearful of making mistakes. And I really think sometimes self-confidence is masked as several things. Fear of making mistakes, and obviously fear of not being confident in your decisions and in yourself to accomplish something. So I'm completely familiar with that. The first one I want you to know, let's say your self-confidence is coming from the fact that you're afraid to make mistakes. You're afraid to make a decision because you might make a mistake. If that's the case, if that's the source of your self-confidence, I'm going to tell you that I have learned over the decades that when I am at a point where I am in indecision mode and I'm afraid to choose from option A or option B, and it manifests itself as self-confidence, I have learned that very few of these decisions I can make are life-altering. I'm not talking about, like a divorce or buying a $200,000 house. I'm talking about just the minor decisions in life, oftentimes we can they'll feel like you don't want to make a decision. I think it's called analysis paralysis, where you're afraid to make a decision because you are just not sure always whether or not it's the right option A or B, and so you just don't have confidence in that. If that's the case, I would just like to reassure you that most of the time when you're in a place like that and you have two equal things and neither one is overwhelmingly correct, it really doesn't matter which one you choose at that point. Pick one, and hopefully your decision's not going to be terminal. Hopefully your decision's not going to be one of those things that cannot possibly be altered, because very few decisions are like that. And just go with it. I mean, but decide fast and act. That's one of my mantras in life. Decide fast and act. Decide fast and act. And so if that's the case, start deciding fast and acting. If your self-confidence just comes from just not being sure in general about yourself as a person and your feelings and what you should be doing, if that's the case, I would possibly maybe start following some people or looking at some of my previous videos. I think I've done some past videos about self-confidence, but one of the biggest things I think comes about in self-confidence is trusting that you have the ability to do things correctly. You may not be self-confident about a job because you don't know if you have the skills. Well, you know what? You can always get the skills. All the knowledge that humans have ever had is documented someplace. So if you're having self-confidence about that, if you're having self-confidence about your looks, then first of all, please try not to analyze your looks too closely or your physical being too closely, because everybody out there has a different body type, a different look, a different style, and all these great things merged together are what give us the variety that we have in the world. So if you're self-confident about that, if you're self-confident about something, not self-confident about something else, then please do me a favor and leave a comment below, and I'll see if I can answer that particular thing. But oftentimes I just think lack of self-confidence comes from doubt, comes from bad historical. We've had issues in the past where history has kind of screwed us over personally on certain things in life, and we're just not sure that we want to jump into that pool again, or we want to jump into that relationship again, or we want to go into be an entrepreneur again. All those things just come from being unsure. And I want to assure you of one more thing. When you are comparing yourself to somebody else, and you might be saying, hey, that person, oh my goodness gracious, that person is amazingly self-confident. I want to be like that person. Rest assured that nobody out there, no matter how successful you see them, is 100% self-confident about what they're doing. They may be deciding fast and acting fast, like I mentioned earlier, but everybody has self-doubt about what they're doing. And so you are the exact same as somebody else, whether it's, the President of the United States or the Queen or the new president coming in or somebody else who's a multi-billionaire. They always have a little bit of self-doubt, but that self-doubt gets masked by taking, rapid action and also deciding fast, eliminating some options, deciding fast and acting, and also to kind of schedule your life around recurring things to slowly build your self-confidence. So I hope that helps. That was a long answer for one question. Let's see if we can get by the other ones faster. The second one is from Valentin, not Valentine, but Valentin without the E on the end. What I'm struggling right now with is I need to develop greater self-discipline as well as greatly improve my work habits so that I may work much harder and attain, let me see what is this here. Hold on for a second, I'm going to adjust the camera. And so that I may attain my goals. Okay, so I need to develop greater self-discipline. Self-discipline is going to come in building good habits, in my opinion. And one of the best ways to do that, and I'll hopefully cover that here shortly when I talk about a calendar, is to make sure that your life is a series of recurring events that have to do with driving you and pushing you towards your goals. Most people have a wide open calendar, and this is a thing that I'm not a big advocate of. They wake up every single day and their calendar is wide open, and they're like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this, this, and this today. No, your calendar should rarely have open spots in it. And so if you're having trouble having self-discipline, let's pick a simple one. A common one is exercise. I don't have the self-discipline to go to the gym. Well, if you were to look at my calendar right now, if I was able to show you my calendar, you would see that I have my gym appointments on my calendar. They are recurring appointments. I have a ton of recurring appointments on my calendar to make sure I get certain things done. So if you're having a problem with self-discipline, then you know what? You aren't scheduling the things that you need to do to basically accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. So I would encourage you to start basically Getting a calendar out, whether on paper or on a Google Calendar or whatever, and plan recurring appointments in your life, which are going to help you get disciplined about the things you want to do, whether it's walk around the block, whether it's write for 2 hours a week, whether it's do software development or go to the library for 2 hours a week. Make those things non-movable appointments on your calendar. In my opinion, every day when you wake up, you should be able to see that, oh, my day is busy. It may not be busy with meetings. It may not be busy with, running around the city, but it should be busy with either things for work or your own goals. Make sure you put time in your calendar, schedule time for your own goals. And if somebody says, let's say you have something planned on a Friday night and you're going to write a book for, let's say every night at 6 p.m., you're going to work on your book for 2 hours. And a friend calls you and says, hey, let's go out and have drinks Friday night. You can look at your calendar and you can say, nope, I'm sorry, I've got an appointment. And they may ask you what the appointment is. Why do you have an appointment at 5:30 on a Friday night? You don't have to tell them, but you have an appointment. And so honor the appointments with yourself just as much as you would honor your work appointments. Okay? Hopefully that'll help with self-discipline. One of the next ones here is from David. His biggest failing for the past, or his biggest challenge he's having is, or past failing, I guess, was giving my time to that which has no worth. And yet that's also a very common one also. And each of us just needs to do some self-analysis as to what we really have to dedicate our time to. We have a bad habit of giving a lot of time to things that just really don't matter. And so we have to get better about that. And that's just a constant refinement of looking at something and say, hey, does this really truly matter? When you come home at night, if you're having an issue that Valentin here has where he says, I'm having trouble with self-discipline, and you're coming home every single night and you're plopping down in front of the couch and you're getting a pot pie and you're turning on your favorite sitcom and you're watching that for 2 or 3 hours, well, you know what? That is a bad habit that you have to correct. So if you're giving time to that which has no worth, as David put here, then you know what? Just start changing that dang habit. If you get off at 5 o'clock, let's say you get home at 6 o'clock. Well, from 6 to 7, you're fixing dinner or you're exercising, and from 7 to 8, you're doing this, and from 8 to 9, you're doing this. Give yourself time for the fun stuff, for sure. I don't want you to have a stick up your butt and be someone who always works. No, I'm definitely not for that. However, you either have to decide, either I want to sit here and screw around with my life, or I want to sit here and make myself a better person. And some people think that it has to be all or none. No, it doesn't have to be 100% one way or the other. You can decide that, you know what? Okay, here's where I'm going to exercise. Here's where I'm going to eat healthy. Now here's also an hour where I'm going to allow myself an hour to screw around on Facebook or to play solitaire or to play video games, or maybe once a month for 2 or 3 hours. That's when you schedule the time to go out and drink with your friends if that's something that's really important to you. But for the things that are important to you, for your habits and to keep yourself disciplined, schedule those things. Don't give your time to things that have zero worth. Okay, next one from Paul. Paul Swanson. Thank you, Paul. By the way, I recognize your first and last name on the list, and I appreciate the fact that you're a longtime listener, a longtime watcher of the podcast and of the video. Paul said his struggle is developing a brand personal using my background as a writer and journalist and having it supported financially. Okay, Paul, it sounds like you want to work on something which is very common nowadays, which is your personal brand. You want to do some of what I'm possibly doing where I'm putting myself out there as this is Patrick, and here are the ways I can help the world, and here are some things where I can do that. One of the first things I would do, Paul, is I would kind of try to figure out as a writer and journalist who you are doing your work for. Oftentimes, journalists, serve the public with news and information. I don't know what kind of writer you are, whether or not you're, a fiction or nonfiction writer, but you kind of have to figure out who you're doing this for. And then once you figure out who you're doing certain things for, you can kind of slowly develop a brand around that. I would also say, Paul, because I haven't seen much of your stuff online, is that if you are someone who wants to be recognized as having a special skill or expertise in a certain area, be sure you are talking about it all the time online. I've been told before that I'm a pain in the ass to follow on social media because I tweet a lot and I Facebook a lot. And there's a reason for that. It's because I want to be heard. One of my other business mantras is that nobody listens to the silent expert. So if you're, Paul, if you're someone who wants to be a journalist and a writer, then do me a favor and start talking about it online. Start making videos like you see me making. Possibly start a podcast, a blog on a regular basis. You know what? Writers write. And so I didn't investigate your background online, Paul, and if you are writing on a regular basis, and that's a very good habit to have. However, if you're not, then you need to start doing it. You can't just sit there and say, I'm a writer, and then nobody knows about it, and then they go to look for your works, and it's like, hey, there's no Paul stuff out there. How do I follow Paul? Um, be the person who talks a lot in your industry about what you do, because people only listen to the people that are talking. And all things being equal, Paul, if you're a writer and you're just trying to kind of over here writing on the side, you're keeping quiet about it, you're writing some great material, you're going to succumb and you're going to fall behind the writer who is writing either crappy or mediocre material, but they are talking about it online a lot. They're talking about the process of writing. They're talking about the satisfaction they get from writing. They're talking about various things in the world of writing. That person that's talking is getting more credibility and more visibility than you are. So please do me a favor, Paul Swanson. Start talking about your writing more. I would like to see that more. And when I do see it, I'll comment on it, I'll reshare it. But that's going to establish you as the right expert when it comes to your writing skills and your journalism skills. Thank you for the four of you for sending me those questions in. If you have a question that you want me to answer about life or business, leave a comment below or go over to the Stop Doing Nothing website, join the email list, and you can email me at success@stopdoingnothing.com. I would love to hear from you because user interaction and stuff like this are great things. And by the way, if you haven't done so, let's take a quick pause. If you are watching this on YouTube, please make sure you click on the red subscribe button on YouTube to follow me there. If you're watching this on the fan page, like and follow the fan page. And if you're watching this on iTunes, please subscribe over on iTunes and leave a review also. I need some reviews on iTunes. I'm always looking for you to leave some comments about good things and bad things or things you would want to see improved. Okay, now let's segue and talk about 2017 for a little bit. Today is December 1st. I believe it is about probably 2:10, 2:15 in the afternoon. You need to start worrying, right? Not worrying, wrong word. You need to start paying attention to what you are doing for 2017. Now is the time. Not a week from now, not 2 weeks from now, and sure as heck, not 2 minutes after January 1st on 2017, where everyone makes those New Year's resolutions. In my opinion, New Year's resolutions suck. They just suck. Because that's something you make in the spur of the moment that required zero planning, zero thought, and basically zero effort to do. Hey, it's New Year's. Oh, kiss, kiss, kiss. And here's my New Year's resolution. Screw that, okay? We're not going to do that. This is what we're going to do. You're going to look at your 2017 as a whole and start planning it out. And one of the things I want you to realize, one of the things that I've come to realize in the planning process is that a year is a very small period of time. You may start off January 1st thinking, woo, I've got 365 days, 365 days to do all kinds of things, but no, you don't. And one of the things that really helped me realize this is moving back to a paper calendar. So here's my system. My life is, a good chunk of my life is in my Google Calendar. That's where I have my recurring appointments, my exercise appointments, my wake-up appointments, my sleep appointments, my business appointments, my lead generation appointments. All that stuff is in my Google Calendar. And it's in my phone, it's on my computer, and I am such a happy-go-lucky, high-tech geek that I always have my calendar nearby. However, hold on for a second, sorry about that. However, one of the things I started doing over the past couple of years is getting a written calendar. So have you seen these before? Measure this, actual paper. This is what I use now. And if you were in my office, you'd see this. But remember these actual at-a-glance calendars? Remember those? I went down to my local Office Depot, my office Home Depot, and I have an actual calendar here for 2017. Is that right? 2017, yeah. And this is my new one for 2017. My 2016 one is up on the wall, and I keep dry erase markers around, and this is how I plan my year out. And what I do is I put my significant events on there, my speaking engagements, my business travel, my vacations, birthdays, anniversaries, stuff like that. and it allows me to, at a glance, figure out where I have gaps, where I could be filling in and being more productive. But it also lets me realize, you know what, the year as a whole is kind of small. And so my habit is I'll wake up, I'll go into my office, and I'll mark off the day, and I'll see what do I have coming up in the week, and how do I basically, if I want to write a book, for example, I can lay out my milestones on this calendar and easily glance at a moment's notice and see when my milestones are due. For some reason, seeing this visually all at once is much better from a planning perspective and a quick summary perspective than kind of hiding it all in your Google Calendar. I think something got lost once we went high tech and all of our calendars went inside of our phones. We can't see it anymore, so we want to pull up what's going on. We can pull up a quick, day or a week or a month, but we can't get the overall picture. I mean, my screen right here is only 3 inches wide by 5 or 6 inches tall, and I cannot see what's going on in my entire year in that small of a space. However, if you want to get a head start on 2017, what you should be doing is getting a planning calendar like this one right here. And again, if you haven't seen one, that's what it looks like right there. For you youngins who have never seen actual paper, it's my 2017 at a glance planning calendar. Get that and a set of colored dry erase markers and pin this to your wall where you can see it every single day, either in your office or in your home office or in your bedroom, your kitchen, wherever, and start using it to basically mark off your significant milestones for 2017. So if you want to write a book, you need to basically plan out your milestones and put your milestones on your calendar. If you have weight gain or weight loss goals, you want to highlight those certain milestones and put them on your calendar so you and everybody else can see them. And I want to make sure you understood the last part of what I said right there. You want everybody else to see your goals also. The reason for this is because it will help keep you accountable. And all of us can use some accountability. We're not all these mighty fortresses, and we can't basically conquer the world by ourselves. So put it in a public place. Start putting your major milestones on here. This is my first recommendation for how to get ready for 2017. I could cover the SMART goals planning process. I could cover the whole idea of small rocks, medium rocks, big rocks, and stuff like that. And I'll probably cover that in a future video. But for right now, get ready for 2017 by going out and getting a calendar at your local office store. And of course, you can order it on Amazon or other places online. Get a set of dry erase markers, get some push pins, put this up so you can basically right now start in your mind, start understanding and looking at all of 2017 at once. The goal for all this is for you to see the entire year in one glance and realize, wow, there's not a lot of time to get stuff done in 2017. So this is going to help you get more efficient. Remember, one of our questions was greater self-discipline. This helps me. This physical calendar helps me with greater self-discipline. It helps me realize that, wow, that trip I have coming up, or that speaking engagement, or that big milestone for a client, it's not that far away. A month may seem like that much, but the older I get, the more I realize that time is very finite, and there's a limited amount of it. And I like seeing this, so this has helped me. I hope it helps you. In future videos and podcasts, I'm going to be covering some other planning tips for 2017. However, I want you to get your mind right now. Start thinking about 2017 and how you want to accomplish it. Now, just as a warning, you're probably going to get some people laughing at you and ridiculing you about this. It's December 1st. Why the heck are you working on 2017? What are you trying to be, some good, big, giant, fancy overachiever? Yeah, you know what? The answer is yes. That's exactly what you're trying to be. Who cares what the heck they think? You are trying to be an overachiever. You're trying to make sure that you're practicing the 80-20, that you're eliminating 80% of the waste in your life and focusing on the productive and the profitable 20%. You want to be an overachiever. And so when people start possibly making fun of you for focusing so much on your time and those recurring events I'm telling you about putting you on your calendar, you know what? You're probably doing something right. If it makes other people uncomfortable or it makes other people want to mock you, you're probably doing something right. So kudos to you. Great job. Keep it up. I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover in this particular video. Again, thank you for Faiza, Valentine, Stefan, David, and Paul for the questions. Keep them coming. By the way, if you haven't gotten on the email list, hop on over to startdoingsomething.com or stopdoingnothing.com. It's funny I have both domains. You know what? Let's focus on stopdoingnothing.com. Go there and you will find various places on the right where you can sign up for the email list. Sign up for the email list. I will always take care of you. Thank you for watching. If you want to follow up or watch this again, it's going to be available on YouTube, and it's going to be available on iTunes podcast for you to subscribe to. Subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, follow the blog, get on the email list, and give me a shout back on Twitter or Facebook. I appreciate every single one of you, and I appreciate you following me and paying attention. Let's have a glorious December and a glorious 2017. We'll talk again soon. Take care.